So, what item do you want to see? What weapon do you want to see in the first from the uncle here?
From the uncle, I know that Trojandude's favorite hammer is the item. As we do get underway, as uncle is going to race us to the castle, we'll get to see what the first item is here.
Just 20 rupees. That's not awful. At least you've got a little bit of the way towards your progression in terms of your bombs in Kakariko, so it's not too bad.
That is very true, but to come back on that, I want an easygoing seed today. I'm going to say the Cane of Burner.
Easygoing seed is you pick the most difficult item to start with.
Well, more like easygoing as in invincibility. But
that's
we are
fair.
about to
That's
find
fair.
out.
Oh, the fire rod. Alright, so my favorite weapon in the game. So it's always a good start to show with that. Fire rod's actually kind of annoying to do escape with, not because it's difficult, but because you're less likely to actually get bombs because you can't kill as many enemies as Bob killing a couple of the enemies at the start, because you do get 2 free pots there, so you may as well kill those there. Of course, Trojan did not, which is why it's a little bit of time discrepancy here.
Yes, definitely. Also, the one thing that the Fire Rod has its drawback with is that the sprites do not disappear immediately after they have been hit with the Fire Rod.
Yes, so Fire Rod is among the slower of the weapons you can get for escape for that reason. We'll just have to see how that actually pans out as, yeah, just killing some extra dudes, because it's not exactly the easiest to kill lots with the Fire Rod. You would think, oh, the splash damage, you can kill a bunch of snakes with that, right? Not always. Depends if they bunch up or not.
Yeah, the hitbox for the Fire Rod explosion, I suppose, is not always as clear as it would appear to be.
Yeah. Other than that, it's still fairly standard. You get to one-shot everything, which is always good. You can use the Fire Rod on the Ball and Chain Guard as well. There's a bunch of magic that you can get in the sewers if you really want, as Dr. Bob actually gets another small magic there in order to replenish the Fire Rod. So it's not bad. Ooh. You do only have a very limited amount of shots, though, so you have to be careful about missing here.
Definitely. Getting a little bit too trigger-happy will, of course, be a... Oh, as DoctorBobtastic gets a lucky bomb drop here.
Yeah, so killing enough of the enemies earlier on must have advanced the prize pack enough, because he definitely killed a couple of extra green guards as well, not just a short sword once. So advancing the prize pack a little bit, getting the bomb ahead of time, that's what you want. So now Bob can just focus on clearing the rest of this, no problem.
Definitely, it will be interesting to see whether the
there it is.
Back.
All right.
There's Trojan's bomb, so we will see the back of escape.
Something is indeed missing. You can't quite go to that first. As a synchronized key pickup here as well. You can see the difference between just using the Fire Rod on the Ball and Chain Guard and using pots to kill in there. The pots are needed for Trojan because he's a lot shorter on magic than Dr. Bob is, but it's a significant time difference to pick up the extra pots.
Definitely, of course, it is pretty much the safest bet here against the Ball and Chain Guard. Of course, with the range of the Fire Rod, that does not really come into play.
No, it's more if you have the hammer that becomes a problem for Ball and Chain Guard.
Meanwhile, though, we are making our way back up to the castle in order to take Zelda away to the sanctuary, of course. We'll be probably seeing very similar times here. Around the 6-minute mark is usually the more standard completion time for the escape sequence. Yeah,
with a Fire Rod, even though you only have to kill one more enemy guaranteed, with the Fire Rod here, I'd be expecting closer to the 6:10, 6:15 sort of mark as your par time, just because it takes longer to actually kill enemies. And looking at it here with 4:30 getting to the throne room here, yeah, it should be about 6:15, 6:20 if you get bad rat RNG. So even though you only have to kill one more, the random movement of the enemies can really mess up here. As you see, there was no way that Dr. Bob was getting through that without taking a hit. And yeah, Trojandude getting around about the same here. I don't know about you, but in like every seed I've played recently, in the last 2 rooms of Escape, just before you get to Sanctuary, one of the rats always decides to sit in front of the door, and I have no idea why. This has never happened until this version, but there always seems to be a rat in the way, and when you don't start with a sword or something just to bat it away, it's really annoying, because it tends to take 2 hits to get through it as well.
That is very interesting. I have not had that issue myself. I've had more of an issue on the second to last room, that the rats just lock onto you and just keep running into you. That has been my problem mostly.
Right, so the rats will always, they will start moving in a random direction, but once they hit a wall, they will always turn clockwise. So if it was moving downwards, then it will always turn to the left when it hits the wall. And nothing too special. That's fine. At least both players got the bomb. There's no advantage to speak of here. There's no double backing to this, which is really... This sync is fantastic, I have to say.
It is indeed really cool.
See? There's a rat in the front of the door.
God,
every time. I don't know why. It seems only in this version that that's big. I don't understand. Anyway, around about the 620, pretty much as you'd expect. Again, Fire Rod's a little bit slow, and they killed some extra enemies to get the bombs there. Man, synchronized rupee check. That's pretty great.
Yes, the sync is pretty much on point right now. It'll be interesting to see if maybe the overworld routing will give us a divergence. Of course, we have picked up almost 200 rupees already, which is quite rich for a seed this early on.
Yep, it's nice because you guarantee having enough rupees to do both Kakariko and buy bombs if you don't have any extra bomb pickups and whatnot. As we aren't going to see the pull tree from Trojan, but we are going to go and see what Bushcrab has, which is blue rupees. Okay, not the worst that you could get.
5 are definitely nice to round around.
And a nice even 200 rupees now is always good. We see Lumberjack is just a hot piece. Okay. Nothing too fancy there. I imagine Bob will probably check that later on when it's a bit more convenient, like going towards Death Mountain, or maybe if Bumper Cave is being checked. If you have the mirror, that would be a good time to go back. Okay.
Yes, that would definitely be the most opportune time, as we only find a 10 arrow upgrade here in the mushroom spot.
Interesting to see him pick that up, actually, because I mean, Trojandude's done it too. It's kind of nice to see. I mean, having arrow capacity is always a good safety net, just in case you use a lot of them for like Armor Knights and you don't get to them up again. But at the same time, that is a common spot that if it's not an important item, you would just leave it behind. And I'm not entirely sure plus 10 arrows is most important, but it's early enough in the run, so it's fine.
Yeah, of course, at this point, the runners will obviously take all the safeties that they can get, because the world is pretty dangerous with blue mail.
Well. Speaking of...
Well, there goes that.
Ooh, all the money and the flippers as well. That's pretty good. Well, it is so long as they get just enough more. Oh, and the mirror too.
And the mirror, really that is huge. Of course, with those flippers and the fact that we are already above 500, it's very likely that we're going to see the Zora loop as well.
Here's the catch, though. If there's not any more money in play, they need to buy bombs and they need to buy the bottle vendor's item. So that isn't quite enough at the moment. They would need an extra 125 or so. You could pick up some here, but even then, you'll still need an extra 100. So it might not be quite enough yet. We'll have to see.
As we find our first ball there, we'll be able to full clear the Kakariko area immediately, not have to get the bottle fest quest there.
Right. That's always good to see. It's in open mode, that was one of the things that you could diverge at the start if you got either did the Houlihan room or you got silvers too. Okay.
The value there.
It's pretty good.
Worth 100 rupees.
I would say so. But yeah, in open mode, when you don't have to do escape at the start, one of the potential changes that you do to Ridding is to actually do South Shore first if you go and get the bombs and do Houlihan and whatnot. And that was the idea behind that, was to try and get a bottle to do Kakariko in one shot entirely. But no need to do that when there's a bottle in Kakariko itself.
That is definitely a nice luxury item to get, of course, the bottle right here.
So, with only 25 rupees left to get, I don't think there's going to be any problem for Dr. Bob here getting enough to do Zora as well.
Yes, especially with the rest of the South Shore left.
Right. And it's just as well because without the glove and with the flippers and no boots, Houlihan is completely off the table. So there's no easy source. And there we go, straight up. So, yeah, probably going to see a Zora check. Just 15, 20 minutes of this. It's really interesting, actually. To be in logic and checking that is quite different.
Yeah, we might even see some fake flippers here from our runners.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Definitely not. Of course, when you get an item fairly early in the run, it tends to just slip into the back of your mind. As we do see DoctorBobtastic opting not to check the race game, but to enter it immediately, which will of course save a little bit of time if there is an actual item on there. So it'll be interesting to see what Trojandude decides to do.
Yeah, I'm always hit and miss with this one. I usually just check it myself because I don't bomb. But when you have the bombs to spare, it's not so bad. You should still have enough to freely do mini Mordon Cave. It's a couple of fire rod shots that can get used as well. So, but Trojandude checking it first, saving a little bit of time this time.
As we do see DoctorBobtastic going to the down here, has pulled out the mirror prematurely, will be performing one of the many glitches within this game. So what he's going to want to do is move the block and use the mirror at the same time. Now, because that works is because the game does not consider the block a solid object when it is in motion. It is actually considered just a normal sprite. So with that in mind, you can use pretty much any weapon through a block, as we already find red mail.
Well, any danger that the crabs could pose is no longer a danger.
Definitely, even with the 3 hard stat DoctorBobtastic has, I doubt he will have any trouble dying in the South Shore. Of course, anything is possible, but first we'll have a look at this mini Mordon Cave. Almost gets the double there.
Yeah, it's really just on the whims of the Mordon whether or not you get double off of that. Oh, there's the sword. So that's and the moon pearl. All right. Bottle. And I would say that's a pretty successful mini Mordon cave.
That is pretty hype indeed. Of course, this seed is pretty much getting blown right open.
It's... Oh, go on.
Of course, we did only find part 1 to the Dark World puzzle here. We still need to find a glove upgrade and the hammer, of course. But our runners will definitely be glad to find the moon pearl early.
Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't already have the flippers, that would lend more credence to doing the faithful stuff. But since you do, no need for that. But yeah, it's kind of funny finding Ether in there, because Ether is actually the fastest way to clear that cave. Since the mini Mordons do die to Ether, it's quicker to cast and bombos, and there's no way that you're going to actually use any other weapon. Even if you're one-shotting them, there's no way that it's going to be faster than just AoEing every single one of them. So...
Oh, definitely. Although interesting to mention is that even if they did pick up Ether, they couldn't use it because the sword was in Mini Mordon Cave itself.
Yep. It's just funny that they had both the tools in the end to actually go ahead and use Ether after they picked it up in there. Just wish you had that beforehand. So, which way around are you going to do this one? It looks like he's going to go and check Lake Hylia Island first, then go to Harbor. This is pretty fair. It's not really much of a difference whether you do Harbor first and check it on the way out. Looks like Trojandude is going to save quit. That's
an interesting choice. He might be thinking to go towards the eastern part, as it is pretty much in the Sphere 1 pool, which is pretty much all of the location that can be checked without anything, really. And of course, Eastern Palace.
Right, here's the alternative though, is what he's actually going to do. He's going to go from the top here and actually just check what's on the island immediately. You can do that even if you don't have flippers, you just see the island and you get back up. And then it's going to go to Hobart from this way. I like this. I'm not entirely sure which one's faster. It might actually be quicker doing what Trojan did here.
Yeah, so... it did look a little bit quicker, but of course we'll have to test that for ourselves. Of course, let's for now focus on the race at hand, as we do see DoctorBobtastic here entering the Woodfall Fairy Cave. We'll be getting his 2 items as well as the Zora 2 items.
Oh, that's not a good sign for them. Never seen that before.
The
Okay.
ball is filled, Dr. Bob. Sorry.
Alright, so in past, you used to be able to upgrade your meringue and your shield from there, but those upgrades were put into the randomizer pool, and that's why you see the 2 chests there now. As that was the flute.
Ooh, that was flute, yeah.
Ooh,
I'm fairly certain that was. So
helps a
very
little bit.
fortunate that they did pick up the flippers early here, as that will give them a lot of mobility.
Yeah. So with that fairy now having the 2 chests instead of the upgrades, she can't upgrade your stuff anymore, but you can throw a bottle in and get the whatever item is randomized to you, whether it's like a bee or potions or whatever. And I'm not even gonna pick this up. It's gonna cause an interesting glitch actually, because not picking that item up means that it looks as if the item on the ledge here is going to be that heart piece. When you pick it up, it's gonna be the flopper, but it just looks like the heart piece because you didn't pick it up. You're not supposed to be able to get to that without it, so...
Yeah, no, due to the way that the memory is used, there would otherwise just be too much within the Super Nintendo's RAM there, so it is another one of these little things that make this game the game that it is. Now, we will be seeing DoctorBobtastic going to activate his flute, so I would like to ask everyone to take off your hats, take a stand, and silence for our Randomizer's national anthem.
So the obvious play after this is to go ahead. The Death Mountain stuff, you can do Tower Hera as well. I haven't seen a map check though, right?
We have not.
Alright, well said, Duck. So...
there we go.
Yeah.
The duck is amok, as we probably will be seeing that Death Mountain play you mentioned earlier. With that mirror in hand, of course, will put the Tower of Hera fully in logic.
Yeah, because we do have the Fire Rod to go in as well. So it is the player that this particular thing is not in logic, but it's also not especially difficult to do. If you bring up a map of this, you'll find this place is surprisingly simple. So it's relatively quick to learn, and you get a safe quit point out of it for later on. Even with the flute, it's still nice to have the point just to save quit and turn here at any stage that you want. So
definitely save and quitting to the Death Mountain cave is, as we get a map check, normal crystals all around in the light world, it seems.
137, not too bad.
Well, to continue.
That looks... Oh, that's what I thought.
No.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Gonna have to either wait for them to come back to life or despawn them.
This could actually be quite bad, because even though the dead rocks don't do that much damage, you do still take a full heart from the boulders here. So look how close that was. One hit away. And
gets in with half the heart.
Here's the thing about rescuing the old man in the dark. If you die before you actually get the old man rescued, you go straight back in that cave in the dark, and it is really easy to lose your bearings off of that. Because it's just like, oh no, where am I? This has never happened before. What do I do? Because your save file is locked at that until you rescue the old man. So...
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's the same as when you've got Zelda and at the start there's still
the lamp on Spectacle Rock.
Right after this sequence broken.
Wow.
That's pretty good, I've gotta say.
This seed so far has been pretty wild. Of course, first off with the mini Moldrum troll, and now with the lamp as well. I wonder what else will be trolling our runners.
I was kind of hoping to see a Dark World map check there as well, but I guess it's maybe a bit too much info if he's only just checked the Light World one. Might be a little bit too quick to check that as well.
Yes, of course, at this point, we don't really have access to the Dark World. Of course, knowledge is power within the randomizer, but too much can overcomplicate your own routing, which can be detrimental, as we find the big key. So
it's a good start.
Our runners are hoping not to have to do the basement here, as it is a considerable time loss compared to not doing it.
Right. And I figured if they check the map now... Oh, the powder, okay. Doesn't do anything immediately, but if the hammer is found, that's a quick check. So seeing some spin strats here, probably the most reliable tools that are at hand here, just to get these guys down fairly quickly.
And then knock the last one down the hole.
Yeah, you can use the sword to knock them all down the pit, but it can be pretty unreliable. It's just tricky to set up, and I do like the idea of using the sword spins, even if it does take two of them to kill them.
There's also the knockback on these enemies. It is pretty insane.
Right, as you can see on Trojan's side here. So they're setting up a bomb jump, using the spin strats. It's good to see. So if you start to fall down a pit whilst holding a spin attack, release the button, then come back to basically the edge of the pit. You'll release the spin as soon as you come back onto solid ground. And that is being as soon as means you're at the closest pixel to the edge of the gap. So it sets up almost every bomb jump in the game really easily.
Exactly. Of course, the bomb jump does require a 1 to 2 pixel setup without the boots anyway.
Yeah, it's 2 pixels without the boots, 6 pixels with, if you do a bomb. But without the boots, yeah, it takes 2. Here we are going to see from both players a completely vanilla fight as Moldrum says no. You are not going there this time. And Trojan does need to do a regular strat here. Not as comfortable with the bomb jump. It's not an easy one to set up if you're not used to it, especially without boots. So I do not blame anyone for not going for that.
And it is definitely faster to go upstairs and do the vanilla route than to fall down in front of the big chest and have to climb back up, of course.
Yep. Falling down that pit is 2 flights of stairs, and without the boots, I think it's 55 seconds to a minute or so. It's about 45 seconds normal.
Oh, God.
Yeah. it's nerve-wracking because...
especially in the last phase where Moldrum doubles his movement speed.
Yes.
We only get a red rupee and our first crystal at 24 minutes in almost.
I didn't see... I think... Was it the smoky and compass were the other 2 things here? So the wood... Oh so no! Trojandude!
Oh no! It releases the spin a little bit too early though. Guess
map is in the basement. Okay. So we have a sword, we have the lamp, we have the cape. Seems fairly clear as to what we're looking at here. Yep. There's not really any reason not to do this, because you need 2 items in order to get through. And the only one location that's left is Agena. Agena would have to have the hookshot or the hammer in order to get to the other side of Death Mountain to extend this further. So this is a very easy, quote-unquote, gamble to take.
Actually, to correct on that, we have not seen Eastern Palace, I don't believe.
Oh, that's true.
or the Sahasrara either. So this could be kind of a gamble. So we'll just have to see if it pays out, or if our Dark World access is gated by Sahasrara himself.
That's fair. I'm too used to seeing that before going to the mountain or anything myself, so... Does he work on these guys? I know Ice Rod doesn't, but... Oh, it does. Okay, cool. The bases are still gold, though. That's kind of neat. Brilliant. And I don't think double freezing them is going to work. That's a miss input. Yeah, so this will show the stun prize as well, actually, which is just green rupees. So
unfortunately, so not very useful to our runners here. Now, a funny thing to note is that the single green rupee is Trojandude's least favorite weapon because #no-value. He said in his little bio.
I mean, it's pretty difficult to... Oh, nice kill for Trojan there as well. It's pretty difficult to gain value of a single rupee, I suppose. So
yeah, you need quite a lot to basically get anything.
Even in retro mode, it would still be 10 of them before you can shoot an arrow. So single rupee, not much to do with it.
Meanwhile, Trojan collecting his first crystal as DoctorBobtastic is climbing the Agnum's tower here. It'll be interesting to see what Trojan decides to do here, if he will also take the gamble into Agnum's tower, or...
Nah. Not looking like it. Okay.
Looks like he's going to check out Agina's cave as well, which is one of those out-of-the-way items which some runners opt to leave for pretty late. So if something big is here, that could be a major advantage here for Trojan.
Yeah, so I can see exactly why Bob has done this, because even if it turns out there is one item that you need to get to Dark World, you need 2 of them. And if it's the glove before the hammer, you're still going to have to do Agony anyway. So, yeah, just 50 rupees are the... these guys should get frozen by Ether as well. Again, they don't get affected by the Ice Rod either, but Ether is a fair bit more powerful. Oh no!
No.
Can't pick him up! Dude's stuck in the wall.
The guard is out of bounds.
You need to ban that guard for EG, clearly. Alright, other than that, not too special here. We are going to see Trojandude go ahead and check Eastern as well, so definitely not wanting to do Aga here. We'll see if this yields the hook shot, because if it yields the hook shot or the hammer, that could be, especially the hammer, that would be a very big deal here, because it'd be more than likely that the glove would be in East Step Mountain at that point. And so Aga might require it.
Yes, of course, DoctorBobtastic is hoping for the hammer being on the pyramid, or maybe even at the Catfish location, or the Palace of Darkness.
Nothing there at the moment. So, the other thing with Bob's rig here is that, other than the Ginner, he basically only has the Palace of Darkness stuff, past that Eastern stuff to do here. So, he could just mirror as he moves towards Palace of Darkness. Get a little bit too close there. He could just mirror and get the stuff that way. So it won't take too long to check the stuff that Trojandude is checking at the moment. If it turns out to be nothing, then, well, secretly call Bob a genius for going Aga as early as he has. Library was bombs, I think? It wasn't anything relevant.
No, it is not something that we will see a second time within this run, unless, of course, our runners are completely out of options and have gotten what was there. But meanwhile, though, DoctorBobtastic expertly takes care of the Agadim fight here. We'll be going on to the Dark World there.
Looks like there was only one blue ball there, so a nice rapid Aga for once. Thanks for the change.
The pyramid item.
Speak of the devil.
Hashtag value.
Alright, so if Eastern turns out to have something that lets you go to the Dark World, East Death Mountain even, then, or 2 items to get to Dark World, that's going to be very rough for Bob. You see Swamp.
We do get a map check though.
Okay, so Thieves Town, Swamp are red and blue with ice being green. Okay.
As well as Skullwoods and Maya being our 5/6 crystals today.
Alright, so we'll see if Bob decides to use the mirror first or just go straight into Palestine this year. You'd hope that he would use the mirror to check Sahashala beforehand.
Yes, I am very positive that he will at least check.
Yeah, getting into a decent position for it. I always find it safer myself. Oh yeah, because that's a bit of an odd spot. I always find it safer to go into the little alcove bit at the bottom and check from there, but it is also quite easy to mirror bonk off of that if you're not used to it. So I see a lot of people mirroring from inside the maze, and it seems to work for them. Doesn't work for me, so whatever. This is what's great about Randomizer. Everyone has their own little tactics that can help them out. Hopefully he's mirror bonk here way out. Nice, okay.
Now, one thing to note is Bob only has 77 rupees. It looks like he realized that he is short on money.
Ah, well, Kiki's ran away. Kiki's like, nope, I'm not having any of that explosion. It's okay, though, because there's 90 rupees inside the Eastern Palace here, above and beyond what's already picked up from the chest here. So, even if you don't get any more, there's a room that you can get just in next to the Igor room and whatnot before going up the stairs. You can actually get 90 rupees there, so it'll be easy enough to go ahead and see. And it looks like Trojandude didn't really get anything from that. So it seems like, unless I've just missed something, but you know, quicker refill on the hearts here from the old man in Instant Sanctuary. Looks like Ago was the play after all.
It does look like our progression will lie within the Dark World here.
Yeah.
Looks like Trojandude will be heading up his way to the Aghanim fight as well, treading in Dr. Bob's footsteps here.
So it's not so bad for Trojandude here. Like, he is a little bit behind, but at the same time, he has checked all of the stuff now, whereas Bob kind of went straight for Aghanim first in his checking retrospect. So it's fine. Like, both approaches are perfectly valid in the case where Aghanim is required, and as it turns out, it is. So it's just, well, gotta do it anyway, and at least this way with the flute, it's a lot nicer. Without the flute, it would have been a bit more painful to go in Eastern first, but flute makes it fine. Here is what I would have hoped to have seen off of Bob, actually. The fire rod is extremely good going up the Aga Tower here.
Yes, again, one of the more powerful items in the game. Quite high up there with the likes of bombos, of course, and these silver arrows.
Right. This is, I want to say, the third best weapon to go up the tower with, although the first one is Gold Sword, and you never get Gold Sword going up Aga Tower anymore. So, used to be in V18, like a long time ago, it was pretty good. But, maybe a little bit powerful. But silver arrows are the second best thing to go up with, because like Gold Sword kills everything in one hit, as does silvers, but the silvers take a little bit longer to use. And yeah, we're going to see the rupee room from Bob here, because he needs a little bit more cash before getting into Palace of Darkness.
Yes,
Very
definitely not a bad choice there.
No, it's great to know this. Yeah, you just, I mean, trying to do that in the dark is a bit of a nightmare, but normally you don't have to try and worry about that, so I think something's gone wrong in your seed if you're having to do that in the dark.
Yeah, then you might have missed something, such as Spectacle Rock here, in this seed's case.
Yes.
Oh my.
So just trying to, I don't actually know which one of these guards has got the key. Okay, there we go. It took a little bit for Trojandude to actually get the key there, so I wasn't sure which one had it anymore.
Yeah, they do revolve around the player character pretty quickly.
One sort of interesting thing to note when you're using weapons like the fire rod or even the bow against the most enemies is that the guards will generally tend to fully alert if you use that. So they don't with a sword here, but if you shoot one of them with a fire rod, the other one will alert straight away. So
yes,
you can use that to your advantage.
Yes, the exact same thing happens if you tink your sword on a wall or shoot out any sword beams, which will also alert all the guards in the room immediately.
Absolutely. So Bob is going to go back and get Kiki here because, well, Kiki ran away the first time, as I think any sane monkey would run away if you get exploded on.
Definitely not a mad choice to take his own life here. To take care of his own life, sorry.
Yeah.
I said that a bit poorly. My apologies.
Slightly morbid, but I guess it works.
It's late for me, alright?
It's alright,
I still haven't had my tea yet.
I at least did that before starting this. It's all good. So, what do we expect Palastanis to have here? It can't be bow-locked because we don't have the bow. It's just no way to progress otherwise. So, there's no way this can be immediately locked. Unless it has the item for progression.
God.
So, yeah.
That's about that hook shot. This seed is...
Yeah.
Yes, of course, with Ganon being defeated, a saving quid will put you on the pyramid.
Yep. So if the hammer was picked up beforehand, that may have been a case where doing the potion glitch to the bowlock side would have been okay. But without the hammer, you can't actually get anywhere through that. So it'd be slightly sketchier. I'd just be really paranoid that there's something else in that dungeon now that you need to go back to. And I know it's a crystal, so you're going to be going there anyway. But if there's something immediately useful in there, like, I don't know, the hammer, maybe, it'd have been great to actually see it. But this is the immediate logic progression. This is where you're supposed to go, so...
Definitely. I do fully expect to have the world open to us after we're done with the Paradox Cave here. Of course, there are lots of items in here, a total of 7 items for the 2 down here, as well as the 5 upstairs in the second mini-modern room here.
Yeah, this is the only... This and Spiral Cave, though, the only other things that this unlocks, so there has to be something here. Actually, no, that does not. Because we have the flippers. So the flippers would lead you... Oh, there's the hammer.
Well,
but...
that...
but that...
Continue with your story.
The flippers plus the hookshot would let you get to the other side of the world. So it was okay regardless. But the hammer now opens up the option to go down the cave. 1. Descend. Jump here. This is another bomb jump that spin strats can get a little bit safer, but as long as you get to the edge of the gap, it's... So...
Yes, I find that one is one of the more forgiving bomb jumps to get over.
For sure.
As DoctorBobtastic here will be taking the walk of shame after checking what is on the...
Never skip Spiral.
Only a bomb upgrade though, we won't be seeing our runners going back for that one. As we do see bootless Spiral Cave.
There have been many a tale in past times of skipping this cave, and it's been the absolute most important item to progress.
In before Boots. I'm gonna call Boots.
I'm sure Christos would like a word with you on that one, because Boots has been in there for a few times for him in these rounds in the past.
Of course, we are about to find out what is true.
Not so fortunate this time, but that's okay.
Meanwhile, though, Trojandude making his way will be receiving his hookshot air from the first chest.
Just menuing around to the...
No. This is a really awful menu so far.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
I would think that I'd even prefer a checkerboard menu to this menu, honestly.
Interesting that he chose to save quit instead of using the flute to 1 there. It's not too much of a difference, but it's interesting. And I guess it's one of those that if your game somehow freezes up, then at least you've got the safety net of a recent save. So it's pretty nice. Remembering that you can't pick this up it would be a big. You also can't get to Catfish because of that. So
Oh yes, and of course having Dark World access without the glove is pretty rare to see, so it'll be interesting to see if there will be any other glove mistakes there.
Now, about that glove, what if there's one in Palace of Darkness still?
Oh no, that
Would that not be the most vicious thing here?
I'm sure chat would love to have a glove deep in pod. As we will see the graveyard ledge here.
This is always such an awkward place to don't have Pegasus Bits or Titan Smith. Not even worth it, but he picks it up anyway, so oh well. It's only me that doesn't like boomerangs, so it's fine.
They have their uses.
Very small ones, but yeah, they do. I just don't like it because it tends to disrupt my menuing more than anything. It's just a personal thing of they do have some uses. It's Trojandude picking up his stuff from Paradox Cave here as well. The hammer really helps out a little bit. It was interesting to see both players going straight into Palace of Darkness, though. I wonder if they just forgot about flippers there. And, you know, being able to use that to go across. Because it's not particularly common that flippers and hookshot are the sort of combo that gets you anywhere in the Dark World. I know we've seen that in past tournaments before as well, where a couple of runners just haven't encountered that situation before.
Yes, it is definitely pretty rare with the amount of items.
Oh, right, yeah. Didn't have hookshot and pod. Derp. It's all good. So, yeah, this is what caught us out in the last time. This is the last race that I commentated being called out because you couldn't get into Skullwoods in the main direction you would normally go from the portal, since, you know, no glove. And not going to be the case this time. Bob actually just going straight into Skullwoods from the area here.
Yes, and after this Skullwoods check, I am fully expecting a Village of the Outcast clear, and perhaps even a dip into Thieves Town. Even though it is a pendant dungeon, most runners will opt to at least open the first 4 chests, as it is basically Overworld.
So, interesting route round Bob here, going through the front half of this place. Don't think I've seen anyone just go in the main door before and then do this bit as almost an afterthought. Just a bunch of keys. But hey, with that, at least you wouldn't have to kill the Gibdo in the final area. So that, on Fighter Sword only, that's a pretty significant boon to not have to worry about that guy.
Yes, of course, our runners did pick up Red Mills, so that will make the Mothula fight substantially easier. We do have everything to go ahead and clear out this dungeon. It is one of the 5-6 crystals, so if there is something at Ferry...
And here is one of the only good uses of the boomerang, is to actually stun Gibdos. Hookshot can't stun them, so it's one of the few things that the boomerang does, the regular one does, better than Hookshot. Which, interestingly, is the opposite way around for the mini-Stalfos. The boomerang does damage to them, as we see the Death Cone up here. Don't blame him, there's not enough hearts left to warrant otherwise. But, yeah, you see it the other way around when it comes to the mini-Stalfos here. The boomerang does like 1/4 of their health in damage, and the hookshot just stuns first someone.
Yeah, this game has a lot of quirky mechanics, as we do see DoctorBobtastic. Having a bit of trouble with these spaghetti monsters here, but will be making his way into the Mothula fight. Not a lot of hearts to work with, and no half magic. Will be interesting to see if we are going to have some hammer strats here, or if he is going to nope on out after checking the small chest here.
I think you'll be fine because there has been a blue potion in one of the bottles. 2 bees, which, I mean, if you really want to be fun, you could use a bee on that fight, but the single arrow.
The single arrow.
As I always like to say, we can beat the game now. You
Definitely.
found the single arrow. So
100% required.
Yeah. if you've seen the single arrow, at least you're able to beat the game now. So, but yeah, you can use bees if you want against Moth. It is very hazardous to everyone's health, including bees. So probably not worth it. But you do have blue potion available here, so that is always helpful. Ether actually would be very good in this room too, because Ether does kill Gypnos, surprisingly enough. So getting them all on screen and then just blitzing them with Ether would be a very sort of good safe strat here. Instead, all of them just surrounding. If he didn't have that red mail, he would have instantly died to that.
That could have been quite brutal indeed.
Yeah, instead of taking the full 6 hearts of damage off of that, instead only taking 2, which is pretty good. We're seeing Trojandude isn't even doing the Skullwood stuff at the moment. Not really comfortable with the position in that. Even with red mail, this is still not going to be the easiest of fights.
Yes, I definitely do not blame Trojan here for checking out the Village of the Outcasts here.
Yeah,
into Skullwoods.
So with red mail here, if you're going to take damage, you want to take damage from Moth directly rather than Spike, because Moth's damage is affected by the armor. He's going to have to use that potion pretty soon. Yeah, Moth's damage is 2 hearts, but is affected by armor, whereas the spikes are 1 heart and not affected by armor. So, yeah, get that potion out, man. Oh, here comes the bee!
Decides to let out the beat up here.
Yeah, a bee for
Gets
the kill.
the final kill. You really love to see that. Meanwhile, we will see Trojandude treading in Dr. Bob's footsteps here. Be interesting to see if we will get some more beast strats here.
It's possible.
Oh, realizing. Yep. Bill doesn't have the glove.
Yep. This is a really easy mistake to make, and I actually completely forgot about that one. As I was saying, in the last race I commentated, I completely blanked out on that. I knew it was possible to get to Skull Woods, I just forgot that you can't go that way. And that's really unfortunate, but Trojandude is going to go back up. He knows which way to go. It's just, oh, I don't have gloves yet, and I'm in Dark World. This is really unusual.
Yes, being almost 50 minutes in and still having no gloves is quite remarkable, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, glove is like one of those items that you almost just assume you have.
But at least when Trojandude goes ahead and does this fight, he still has the same potion that Bob had, but he has more hearts to work with to begin with. So it should be a little bit of an easier fight. Not easy, it's never easy with Fighter Sword only, but it should be a more doable fight. Using the basically double magic as well with Blue Potion.
Definitely. Now also, while DoctorBobtastic here is in the area, we might see a Batcave check here, as we actually no, we don't have the gloves yet. Oh my god.
No, but you can just mirror, and then you can get to it from there. So
no, there are a couple of rocks in front of the.
Only in the Dark World. I know the ones you mean, and yeah, you need the Titans-Smith for that. But in the Light World, there's nothing in front of the Blacksmith's hut.
Oh, that is true.
If they mirror,
I'm mixing up my my Light and Dark Worlds here.
Yeah, now if they mirror, then with the hammer that was picked up on Death Mountain, you could go ahead and use the over here. Yeah, even though it's a pendant, I don't blame Bob at all for going here. Yes. I wouldn't be too surprised if we find every item before Blind and just don't kill Blind because we've got the mirror. But just going into here, Feast Town almost always seems to have something. So
yes, definitely one of the more quicker checks here of the first 4 chests. probably will be seeing both of these runners opting to explore a little deeper inside as we will see how many dungeon items are in the front here.
So we're seeing Trojandude has used a lot more of his fire rod in order to take care of the Gibdos here, which is fine if he uses a bomb in the next room to get to the full magic pot that's on the right hand side. That cracked wall there is actually a place you can explode, and yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. The other nice thing, actually, there's an anti-fairy, or the bunny beam, underneath the pot in the room with the chest. And with powder, you could actually get a full refill off of that. We might also be seeing that here. Not this time. Probably just forgot about mirror and it's like, oh, wait, yeah, I have that. I should have used that.
Meanwhile, Dr. Bob deciding to indeed go deeper into this dungeon here. We'll be getting his extra smoky hair.
Yeah, it's looking like Blind has got something here, because I think there's definitely still the small key, and I think a map was seen as well. So it seems like a relatively good chance that Blind has got something. And only one item picked up. There's still 3 left in the dungeon, so it seems definitely like you would want to keep going here. Interesting to see. I guess we're probably looking at a death walk from Trojandude as well here. Interesting to see that he's actually checking this chest beforehand. But yeah, it's because he wants to do a death walk to get some health back here, since he didn't get the fairy from the vanilla big key room.
Yes, definitely not a bad choice here.
Oh, compass 2. So I think Blind definitely has something here, so you're going to have to finish this dungeon if you want to get everything.
Yes, and of course there might be a possibility of something being on the pedestal. Of course, at this point, it can be quite a lot of stuff that we would still need, including the Cane of Samaria, the bow, as well as the ice rod, of course, being the biggest short item.
Right, but we actually have all the tools to do Swamp Palace after this too, so it's really only ice, and the only thing that's needed for ice is the Titansmith. So the pedestal is actually a bit more in play than normal here. And yeah, DoctorBobtastic showing that if you kill all the enemies in that room, you actually can get through without any concern whatsoever. So it's very common to think, oh, I need gloves for this, so I can't do this, but actually you can if you have the enemy kill stuff here. And I think in the GBA version, they actually made it so you had to do that, right? Because they made that block a Titansmith pick block. So you had to go around and get the Titansmith first before you could hit the shortcut.
I have still to play the Game Boy Advance version. Maybe for Ooh. Luckily, though, it has that blue potion still as well.
So both players needing to use the potion here, which again is completely reasonable with this fight. Gets it down though, not too bad. And Bob remembering, hey, Bombers, nice. Bob remembering that there is an anti-fairy, or the bunny beam even, underneath the top left pot there. So you actually do go ahead. Oh, he's going to forget this time though. Yep, he still can't go up there.
Straight turnaround. Of course, again, something as basic as the Acid Level 1 glove here. Really throwing our runners for a loop here.
Right, because say Trojandude can't even mirror away from here and enter the Dark World again from below, because you need a glove in order to lift her up above the portal. So even with the hammer, it's not enough. You've got to walk back through this dungeon now.
Broken pencils are pointless.
That's not one of the OG quotes, so it's okay.
Of course, this fight can be completely scripted if one does the exact same thing. Unfortunately, gets a little bit off sequence here, but with Red Mail, has to be still careful though.
fireballs, just like the moth fight, it's 2 hearts of damage on contact, but that's affected by armor, so it'd only be half a heart in this case. Whereas the fireballs are 1 set heart of damage, so that's he got hit by more fireballs in that one, and so lost a lot more health.
As we do receive, I believe, a vanilla piece of heart, or heart container rather.
So the bombos could well be necessary. There are 2 medallion dungeons. We obviously don't know what either of them take, because Titan's Myth is needed to see both. So, hey, Trojandude is actually going to go ahead and check Magic Bat here. This is something that Bob did not do. So, if this turns out to be something like, I don't know, the glove, it could be pretty good.
That would be huge. Meanwhile, though, DoctorBobtastic will be taking a shot at the digging game. Of course,
He's got just enough for it. I don't know if he had enough for that before going into Thieves Town. Oh, just a red rupee from the Magic Bat here. Oh, and there's the bow.
The bow
okay.
at 20 digs.
So that now lets you loop all the way back around and do Palace of Darkness in Easton. Fair enough, game. I see what you're on, what you're doing here. Is Trojandude? Yeah, Trojandude looks like he's gonna go back and do Thieves Town as well. Sort of debate on it. I can totally understand why, but at the moment it's incredibly awkward to get back here. So if you're going to do it, I would definitely say do it early rather than... So I do agree with going into here as well.
Yes, with how annoying it is going to be to get back here if you don't do it, I'd say that it's a good bet to do as much as you can, as much as you are comfortable with doing, as we only get a piece of heart from Old. Yeah.
Now, with the bow in tow, however, I wouldn't say the same about Swamp Palace here. With Swamp Palace also being of a pendant, you can't go that way, Bob. You don't have a glove. With Swamp Palace also being a pendant here, I don't think I would want to come back round for it at the moment. The way Swamp Palace is a lot easier to get to because you can just go from Hyrule Castle and use the hammer on the bridge to go down. So it doesn't take quite as long to get back to, and it's a pendant, and you've got 2 crystals you can get stuff out of. So
yes, of course, runners would rather avoid doing. As we find the second Solar Grader in the Hype Cave already turning out to be pretty hype.
Too bad.
The rest.
Ice Rod. Was that Ice Rod? Yeah, yes. It would be, because we started with Fire Rod.
We started with Fire Rod. So that is the troll item out of the way, and other than the sword, not much that will give us instant progression. Not even the sword will give us any progression.
Now I'm worried about Swamp Palace having our first glove here. The thing is, though, what does one glove by itself actually do anymore? We already have full access to the Dark World. You need both gloves before anything really big actually happens with it at this stage. So, even if Swamp Palace does have one, it doesn't do anything unless you get the other one too, and I don't think both of them are in there.
That would be pretty unlikely to see both of the gloves. Of course, everything is possible within the randomizer, but with that bow in hand, we most likely will see DoctorBobtastic here full clearing the Palace of Darkness. With these silvers, of course, the Helmets of Fire is pretty much a walk in the park here.
Yeah. And yeah, the gloves unlock Catfish and Spike Cave, and that's about it. There's like 2 locations that it actually does unlock, and that's not a whole lot to really look at here, because we did see Bumper Cave this time, unlike the previous race I'd done. We did see it, and there was nothing there.
But it was only a big 20 indeed.
Yeah, so there's nothing potentially at that spot which would be blocked by it, and it's just, yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot. Normally the glove is there for access to the Dark World. So, since we have that already...
As we do approach the hour mark, still without the level 1 glove. Wow, I have...
Hopefully, Trojandude, I think, has just realized that this is how you can actually get through here. And he was almost thinking, wait, I can't do this, what now to do? But no, I think he's just realized, oh wait, kill the enemies, it's fine. You can see him hovering over the mirror going, do I, don't I? But no, you can get through, so... Luckily, not going to miss the bomb bursters at the bottom here, because I really do think that bomb burster is going to be required for something. Let's see. So... Okay, so there's been 2 small keys otherwise. There's a really, really good chance that the big key chest here actually does still have a small key as well. Because you need 4 small keys at least out of the first 6 chests here, and the first one was hookshot, so this is very, very likely. Not guaranteed, but very likely to be a small key. Yeah. Oh, that's something though. Okay, so
that unlocks a couple more locations.
Alright, so if you had done the potion glitch when you first came through, you could have gotten the 2 small keys that were on the bow side, mirrored out and come back round to do this, and you could have had the boots before going any further, if you'd have committed to the glitch, but you wouldn't have been able to complete the dungeon anyway, obviously, so that's an interesting one. Wonder if that would have been better or worse overall.
Looks like Dr. Bob is opting not to do the hammer jump yet.
He doesn't have the big key, so there's not really a reason to. As the blind fight is getting a bit chaotic here, but that's fine. Trojandude gets it down. Great job on that. Okay, with this many small keys in tow, I think there is also a small key in the Harmless Hellway here. Because... no, actually, how many has he opened? Oh, actually, no. Okay, guess not. He's already opened the other one, so... It's always useful to know, like, when you're actually running this and you've got everything out in front of you, it's always useful to go, right, this is how many keys I've got. Is there going to be a small key in this bit? If so, I can just skip it and just leave it behind. But, yeah.
Yes, of course, the small optimizations.
This Trojandude is about to get his bow as well. Yeah, there's a lot that can be said for just doing the little things. Hey!
So we find the 3rd sword of this seed.
Well, alright then. That's the care package for Ganon to take care of with silvers and sword here.
Yes, definitely. It would be nice to see if our runners will also find the golden sword.
You know what would also be nice to see? A glove.
I mean, at this point, I've just accepted that we're gonna do this scene without gloves somehow. Because my word, where is this glove? It must be.
It's gotta be Swamp,
it does look like both are going to be in Swamp Palace at this point.
I mean, the boots do give you access to both King's Tomb via the mirror and the Bonk Rocks. So one could be there, but Swamp surely has to have one at this point.
I'm just going to call both of them on the left side.
Oh, wow, that would be something.
That would be pretty hyper as DoctorBobtastic makes his way past the mimics there. Trojan is...
Oh, that was pretty clever. Okay, I've not seen that before.
Oh.
So, he used the bow on the crystal switch when he already had the switch down and stood on the blocks to get invincibility frames to get past the spike ring there. That's pretty good.
I'm going to steal that.
Normally, I make sure that I have the switch the other way around so that I can keep the spike trap trapped there myself, so I can easily get past it, but that's a creative way of doing it. Because it does mean that you then have to hit this switch twice because of the way the stuff is set up, but that's fine, that works too.
As we do see Trojan picking up his ice rod as well as his massive sword here.
Absolutely. So, where would you go at this point then? If you are Trojan, would you go into Swamp, or would you just go back to Palace of Darkness here?
Even though Swamp is a pendant, I do feel that the justification for these 6 items would be... Oh! We get the little turtle there coming through the walls.
Yeah, the turtle clipped from the first screen to get in there, and that's really terrifying if that happens in the dark. Doing dark rooms for that place. Because,
yeah,
you
just
no,
like take damage. You just take
why
damage.
is there a turtle here?
Immediately just lost your bearings. So we do see DoctorBobtastic here hammering away. Now, Trojandude is also on his way to the Palace of Damnus. I don't recall if he actually opened it already. He does have enough rupees to do so if he didn't.
He needs to have opened it for the hook shot. That's the thing I made earlier, mistake-wise.
Sorry.
Hook shot was in the front, so it's all good. I've said it as well. So there we go.
This scene is really
it's been roundabout, hasn't it? Hey, it's like we said earlier. Sometimes these things are much nicer to watch than they are to play. I mean, this scene has been a good show and tell of that. Right. But if you're Bob, then I think there's only really 2 places to want to go now. That would have to be, well, obviously Eastern Palace here.
Yes, finish off.
The only other one, really, I would imagine, would be checking King's Tomb first. But that's going to take a lot of time to go round to. So, even with the boots, because the only way there at the moment is to still do the hookshot thing that we did at the very start. Oh, Bob is forgetting he's already done some of this. It's very easy to forget that you've already done this stuff. You can't do catfish until you have a glove, so we're still locked out of catfish right now. We're still locked out of Spike Cave for the same reason. There's no gloves, so Darkworld Death Mountain takes 2 gloves over. Get to, so oops! He was wanting to use the bow there, and he hasn't switched to the bow. If you use, I mean, sword beams would have worked there too, but if you use weapons to kill them quickly, like you can kill them a lot quicker than using parts. But you need to switch first, so oops.
Yeah, it does take 2 hits with the sword beams to kill them, as opposed to 1 silver arrow for the skeleton dudes, but as you mentioned, you do need to use the bow in order to use it. Equip the bow to use it, rather.
Sword beams are my favorite strat for this room, because it's just so quick to actually use them. Like, look how fast it just takes care of that. It's one of the only good times to use sword beams, but
yes, other than that, sword beams, not a fan.
It's been an interesting thing, though, is Trojandude has actually been doing Eastern Palace this entire time as well, so still needs to go and do Palace Darkness afterwards, but has chosen to do Eastern first, which is interesting. Might be indicating that they intend to stay in the Dark World afterwards, in order to go back down, or even, and might be go back up in this case, since we know about boots. They don't know about boots, so it could be just going back down to Swamp Palace afterwards, intending on staying in the Dark World to allow that.
Yes, that would save him another mirror animation here. As we will see Dr. Bob's almost fight here, of course, with his silver arrows. It'll only take 6 of them.
Yeah, so the silver arrows really do make this fight very straightforward. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Alright, so where do you go now, Bob? Looks like he's taking the mirror back out. So getting stuck, this is the thing, when you mirror too close to Palace of Darkness, you will just kind of get back into the
doorway. It will suck you right back in, unfortunately.
So where do you want to go now? Well, we've just got the boot, so we have to have the obligatory bonk to something. It's always just a ceremonial bonk. It has to happen, no matter who you are.
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, Dr. Bob's least favorite items is the boots. As he did say that, he is probably one of the worst people at using them. And it shows already getting that bonk counter up here.
Which way do you want to go? You've got to get the hammer out of you that way. Okay, so yeah, looking like Swamp Palace is gonna, or
is.
Oops! Wow,
that is impressive, honestly.
That's a precision mirror bonk right there. Alright, so I think he's realized about doing the bonk rocks here, but is going to be a little bit disappointed that King's Tomb is not available going in this way. You need to stay in the Dark World in order to do that. And I think he might have just realized that, going, oh wait, I need to be in the Dark World for this. Whoops! Yeah, trying to get a dash away from I guess this is Usain Bolt's second, because it's not normally the one that is associated with that, but it's still the same guard, still the same speed of it, so...
Oh my.
Yeah, it is quite an adventure. Yeah, he's realized. He wants to do King's Tomb and Crocs, but he needs to stay in the Dark World. Nice. Yeah, trying to dash.
Having a bit of trouble with the poking guards.
Trying to dash when you've got guards around you is really difficult to do. Oh. Still can't open
Dr. Bob, we've been through this once before.
Oh dear, it is so easy to just assume that you have them by now.
This is wonderful to see, though. Just how much you can actually do without the gloves is still quite surprising, actually.
Yep. And now this is the interesting thing. With boots, it's a lot easier to get up to this particular bit, because you can just bonk against any box here. Alright, so what are we going to see here? As Tempest Soul picked up for Trojandude as well, getting... Oh, there it is! This, fun fact, is one of my favourite locations to find Titansmith. Although this time it's not Titansmith, it's just a regular glove. But this is one of my favourite locations to find it, because it's one you've got to get a little bit creative about in terms of reaching. So...
Definitely, as we have seen from Bob here, it is very easy to forget that you don't have them. Fortunately, we'll not be making that mistake again. He's going to check out the Sanctuary Bonkrocks here. Meanwhile, Trojandude...
He's really going to check out Sanctuary Bonkrocks here.
Oh, wow.
He's not getting back in that portal, unfortunately, so Catfish might be a bit of a far out of the way fort now. Yeah, you aren't getting back into that, unfortunately.
Yes, but with that newly acquired glove, that will make access in the Dark World a hell of a lot easier.
And I think Bob has realized, Magic Bat is available, so let's go ahead and take care of that whilst we're here, and then probably flute away and maybe look at doing Swamp Palace from here. Because the other two locations the gloves, like this level of gloves unlock, are really far out of the way. I don't know, maybe if he hadn't have lost the portal, could have considered doing Catfish, but losing the portal in that manner, it's gonna put it a bit further back here, I think.
Yes, that was very unfortunate to end up just on top of the rocks.
So neither player had it when going through this first room of the basement in Past Darkness here, but if you do have full health going through there, the sword beams are really good for just taking out the switch, so that you don't have to menu to another weapon to hit the crystal switch. Are we gonna see? Oh, this is actually kind of cool. So if we're seeing Spike Cave here, he's gonna have to save quit out of the Spike Cave, and that's in the Dark World. He has the mirror. He's killed Aghanim, so it'd put him back on top of the pyramid.
Which
but then the pyramid there,
which sets him up for catfish.
Exactly.
Very
if that's
well
the
played
chain of
here.
thought here, that's gonna be really impressive to see.
Ooh, random map checker.
Maybe just double checking about desert. It's the only one still to do here, but it's always worth. I know if I end up like not spending enough time on maps, I would have to check them like 2 or 3 times within the run just to be sure. Like, okay, am I really going for this dungeon here, or like is this green pendant again? Yeah.
Yes, you definitely don't want to have the feeling of going into a dungeon and then receiving a pendant.
Does he have enough health to do this?
It's going to be pretty close. Of course, he has an almost full magic bar, so he doesn't have any potions, but this is going to be really close.
Cape drains incredibly quickly, though.
Oh,
nope.
He, unfortunately, does not make it through Spike Cave. Does not have a bottled fairy either.
Okay, so I think there might have been a way to do that, but it would have been really, really difficult to pull off.
The only way would have required perfect dashes as well.
So the space behind a pot there's no spikes there, so you can stand directly behind a pot, and it works out fine. So what I think would have had to have been done there was he stood behind the last pot, set a bomb down, get the cape back out before it exploded. I don't know if you'd even have enough time, but if you could, then you would lift up the boulder, the cape would wear off, and then the explosion would let you have some iframes to get to the end there. But I don't know if he would have had enough to pull that off.
I do believe that he had 2 hearts when he started to pull the rock, so it might have been possible actually.
Yeah, it's more the fact of the cape is delayed when you use it. So when you actually when you can activate the cape after switching to it, has a delay, and I don't know if that would have enough for the bomb to still be in play. I think the bomb might have exploded before he was able to lift the rock. But that's the only way.
We are seeing a Swan Palace diver from Trojan.
Yeah.
Opening up the dam once again, as Bob is going to take another shot at the Spike Cave here.
So this could still be really interesting if the other glove is here, but regardless, you're going to have to make the unorthodox King's Doom play. So this could still be weird either way around.
Yes, fortunately we'll have enough here as we find Quake.
Okay, so probably worth it.
Definitely, because that will eliminate any doubt of whether or not you can complete Maya or Turtle Rock. It's always a great piece of mind to have.
It looks like we might not be seeing Catfish at this point. Given the mirror pull here, probably not going to be seeing Catfish into... It's a bit of a shame. It would have been a fantastic route to look at, but at the same time, this is still pretty fine for Swan Palace at this point.
Yes, definitely, because considering Catfish is only 1 item, as well as it being quite far out of the way. So I do not blame the runners for opting the more item-dense location here.
So, I think at this point, unless there's a glove at Catfish, there absolutely has to be one in Swamp, right? I don't think there's anywhere else that we can check without Timesman.
Yes, they have pretty much full cleared all available locations, I believe.
And that would be really mean to have the first glove be King's Tomb and the second glove be a Catfish would be incredibly mean.
Definitely. Of course, not impossible.
There are still a couple of fetch quests to pick up as well, though. There is the mushroom, and the book could actually be a thing as well here. So...
Mushroom into shovel, into book, into bombos, tablet.
Oh, the chains that one can come.
Trojan remembering not to drown the key here.
Yeah, this is really easy to do. If you're going to do left side first, then it's a shortcut that you can save a screen transition doing it this way. But you've also just got to remember not to muscle memory it out too hard and to not hit the flood switch until you've actually got the key. It's not quite so punishing anymore if you do flood the key. As a TSA, if you do, then go and get the chests on the left-hand side first and then mirror out the dungeon so that you can then just go and get the key. But I won't come back in. But yeah, there's 6 total items in here, and we just have to hope that something good actually shows up in this place, really.
I mean, you'd almost think that it has to have at least one item that will give our runners some progression here.
Right. And I guess this would be... In a way, this might actually be okay for Trojandude if the other glove is here, because he might go and check Catfish before doing the King's Tomb stuff, which might not end up leading to anything, but it gets that really far out the way, and there it is, okay.
We do find the second glove.
Last.
In Respawn Palace. Of course, Trojan has not yet gone to King's Tomb, will only be receiving the Power Glove here. But once DoctorBobtastic makes his round, that will be his Titansmiths, and the world will be open for him.
So the only thing that we have left to find is Cane of Samaria.
Which, for all intents and purposes, depending on Ice Palace, could still be on the pedestal. Of course, if the key layout is fortunate in Ice Palace, we don't need the Cane of Samaria in order to complete it, so that would be the only hope.
If both of the... just having trouble picking up the part here. If both of the small keys are available before you get to Cold Stare, then the dungeon is not Cane of Samaria locked. Therefore, yeah, it absolutely could be there at the pedestal, which would be really unusual, actually, for the seed to go this far in and then still have something at the pedestal. That definitely seems like checking left side first was the play for this seed. There's the big key, so at this point, yeah, you kind of want to go back. This particular doorway is really awkward though, and I don't think it was a dash into the door that we saw here, so yeah, having to go back down. If you key dash into that door, which is dashing at a multiple of 4 pixels away from the door, and you don't hold any directions when you're going up the stairs, but when you get to the next floor, you hold left or right, you actually can avoid having to go back down the stairs there, but it seems a little bit inconsistent, so... Oh, just for the map too, that's unfortunate.
Ooh, that... You really hate to see that. But we will see. There we go. Bob picking up his Titansmiths.
The same chest, just one is colored differently. Because one has already had the extra glove, and that's the joy of progressives. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that Quake medallion actually comes into play, though. Like, it gives Bob the peace of mind that he doesn't have to farm up any more medallions, but if that Quake doesn't actually open either of the dungeons, it's still a useless item, you know? So, we'll just have to see whether or not that ends up being required.
Yes, of course, now finally having the Titansmiths, we do have access to both Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. Of course, we can't get into Turtle Rock due to the absence of the cane, but if not on the pedestal, the cane could still be within Misery Mire. It's within a dungeon.
Right. TGH is the only one I've seen that's actually hopping stream for Turtle Rock, so I'm sure others can do it, but he's the only one I've actually seen on the stream do it for. So I don't think we'll be seeing anything like that from anyone in this tournament. That's just bizarre and unusual.
That is sure a feat to hover the entirety of Turtle Rock. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who values their hands.
So, just to compass, you may as well clear the rest of the dungeon, even if you know the map or compass is at the end here, though. You may as well clear the rest of it just to get the pendant, on the off chance that it does turn out to be a pedestal seed, because suspicions will be running high at this point, with only a few locations left to go to.
And yes, to answer a question in chat, the cane or an item leading to cane is pretty much the only hope for pedestal for us. Now, we still have not found the book, so our runners will not know what is on the pedestal until that is found as well.
So I like this route from Trojandude here. He is going to go and check King's Tomb and the Bonk Park stuff, but he's doing it from this side because he now has a glove in order to access the portal here. So I do like this idea, going straight for it.
Definitely, as Dr. Bob snipes the Argus here, we'll be receiving his red pennant as well.
And this will be another one that, if you do feel like Catfish has got the final item, then you can easily check it whilst you are in the area. It's not a necessity, but it's probably the most convenient time you would ever have to check Catfish. However, looks like we are going to get some more immediate information from Dr. Bob here, rather than waiting to check Catfish. Okay, so what medallion would you want to see here as the requirement for...
So we can get the classic bird toss.
Fair enough.
I always used to carry the bird into the dungeon, but it's cooler to drown the bird instead. Or so I've heard.
Alright, so we are going to see Desert Palace first. This is also pretty good. Oh, Dr. Bob didn't actually check what the item was there. Trojandude checked that, because I remembered it was bombs, but... And speaking on, Trojandude is definitely going to get the Titan's Mint here in King's Tomb.
Yes, he will be happy to find those, and of course, Dr. Bob choosing to head into the dungeon that he can actually complete first, because if the cane is here, then it will pretty much be a go mode Maya.
Absolutely. And we're going to do safe quit instead here from Trojandude. That is also fair, because this will probably be leading to Dark Death Mountain, so we'll get some more information out of this as well.
Meanwhile, only a piece of heart in Desert Palace so far.
Oh, or not. That's fine too. It's slightly unusual to see so many save quits when you've got Mirror and Flute and all of the fun stuff with that, but at the same time, it is just nice to have... Oh, Ether, okay.
Ether is required.
So, your wish has come true with that, hopefully. We'll see. But, yep, it is not Quake. That's the most important moment. Because what Trojan will not want to see is something in Quake here.
Yes, that would be quite unfortunate here, as DoctorBobtastic here is heading into the backside of Desert Palace.
Nice Beamos dodge.
Yes, Beamos are one of my least favorite enemies, just because you can't kill them back, which seems a bit unfair. Yeah,
and even Mirror Shield is not enough to block their lasers, which I thought Mirror Shield was supposed to be the laser blocker, but not Beamos, apparently. Thank goodness the later versions of that enemy actually did allow you to either explode them or shoot them in the eyes or whatever, depending on which version of the game you play. These ones are ruthless, though.
Yes, they will not let up, especially when we get to the Ganon's Tower in the Gauntlet. There is about a dozen of them, I believe.
Whoever thought Beamos on ice was a good idea. We're not into the musicals here, man.
Meanwhile, though, Landmola's on Desert Sand will be getting the silver arrow stats here. Of course,
yeah.
Gets the 2-cycle very clean.
So Desert didn't really have anything, but you wouldn't necessarily expect it to at this point.
Now, at this point, the only thing our runners really want from this is just a crystal to just get out of the way with sooner rather than later. Now, because Dr. Bob is going back into the Dark World, I do believe we will see a Maya dip here.
He needs to do checkerboard first, but we'll see. Yeah, Trojan is really not that far behind, so long as Turtle Rock does not require Quake. If Turtle Rock requires the Quake Medallion here, then Trojan could be in a lot of trouble, because Spike Cave will not be high on the priority list here.
Yes, of course, with the majority of Death Mountain being checked already.
So Bob opting not to go into Mire at the moment, which makes a lot of sense because you kind of don't want to go into a dungeon before you can clear it. At the same time, maybe it is worth actually doing the dip at the moment, because if Samaria turns out to be there, Bob knows he is in go mode. And if it's not, well, maybe the big really bad spot. You've got to check the whole dungeon anyway, who knows?
Yes, Maya is just one of those dungeons that have the ability to not differ very much between a full clear and a go mode.
Oh, Trojan needs to get a little bit more accuracy on these shots here, but then again, I am really awful at shooting multiple arrows into these things myself, so I am not one to talk when it comes to using arrows against Landmo. There we go. Good stuff. Alright, so we're gonna get to find out whether or not we actually the Quake Medallion here in just a moment. This is actually quite a pivotal point here, because if it really is Quake that's needed, that's a real tough break for
Yes,
Trojan.
that might give Trojan a little bit of trouble here.
As Trojan is oh, it is as well. Oh boy.
Oh no.
And Trojan is dipping Maya, so we'll see. This
Have to get synchronized spellcasting here.
Okay, maybe this if Samaria is vanilla, maybe this isn't so bad for Trojan, because he's probably gonna do Dark World Death Mountain straight after this, and you would like to end that with Spike Cave, because it's easy enough to dash back across and do from there. So if he can pick this up here in terms of the Samaria, this actually might not be that bad. Because you would do Dark World Death Mountain normally before Pendant Ice, in this case. So it's not all over, it's just not ideal for Trojandude here, to say the least. I bet Bob is really happy he went back up for Spike Cave after dying the first time, though.
Oh yes, that definitely paid off. Of course, we would still need that Cane of Samaria, as we will see our first look into Spike. Sorry. Wow, we've been talking about Spike Cave so much. We will be seeing the Hookshot Cave here. Starting off with a big 20. Oop.
Taking a bit of a fall, but it's fine. It's always a bit precarious to go on these platforms here.
There is very little wriggle room, as it doesn't look like there will be much of anything here besides some money.
A very colourful money cave, but nothing else. So, ooh, Blacksmith or Ice Palace? I think that's about it. Did either of them check Blacksmith first?
I don't believe either of our runners have checked Blacksmith or the Purple Chest.
As Bob is about to go around and see. So, I definitely like the idea of doing the Blacksmith stuff before Ice Palace here, because Ice being a pendant dungeon and is also rather unlikely in this version to actually have an item in the first place, Not my personal experience, but according to 25,000 Seeds Gen for statistic stuff, it seems to be much less likely to actually have stuff. So I like the idea of getting all the Overworld checks out of the way before going in myself.
Yes, of course, with the release of the latest randomizer version, the likelihood of Overworld versus Dungeon having required items did get balanced out a little bit. As we also will see the Hammerpack Cave here.
So Trojandude is gonna probably have to reset the torch. Yeah, definitely gonna have to reset the torches here at this point. He needs to go back and light the first one in this room. Hopefully gets that before. No,
Ooh,
not with the wizard up there. Okay. You gonna get it? He is gonna get it. Okay. Just in time for the second one through. Wouldn't have been too much of a hassle to go back into the other and get it done again. But saving just that little bit of magic left here.
As we do see Dr. Bob getting the swagnet here from the blacksmiths.
Sakura would be very happy with that. Sakura Sabasa is one of the few people who is actually better at killing Aga 2 with the bug net than with the regular sword. So she would be happy to see that. Not quite so sure that Bob is happy to see it in this case.
I doubt that he wants the bug net at this point. Of course, it is a very nice safety to have, allowing you to catch some fairies as well in case you do happen to take a death. But at this point, we'll get to see. Oh, my heart! It just jumped for a second.
Oh,
no. Well, if there's anyone named Brian out there, we have found your cane.
So it looks like Bob is also going to go for the Maya play here. I don't know. It's looking pretty unlikely at the moment. But then again...
Instead flutes away.
Yep. I mean, just having second thoughts, like, I really, really don't want to do this. We can't even get the 5-6 crystals, though, because... Oh! My goodness!
No, that is not okay. That is... Wow.
That's mean! As Bob has just remembered, yeah, catfish is a thing as well.
Oh dear.
That's so mean!
I may or may not have commentators cursed this seed now. I am so sorry.
Oh dear. Okay, so I did say that if Vanilla Cane was picked up here, this might not be all over for Trojandude here, because you've got to imagine, before you do ice, and probably before you do blacksmith and whatnot, you're going to go and check Dark Death Mountain for stuff. And you're going to see that Quake is required for TR, so you can't get in straight away, but you've still got Hookshot Cave to check. And then usually what you would want to do after that with the invincibility items and such is you would want to go and do Spike Cave. And if that actually is how this goes, you'll get the Quake straight after, and it will be game on once again.
Definitely, of course, Trojan is not yet in go mode. For Dr. Bob here, the cane will be his go mode item, but Trojan still needs the Quake medallion to open up Turtle Rock. So this race is very much still on, and pretty much anyone's race to take at this point. So we do get a catfish check here from DoctorBobtastic.
Unbelievable. Just
Wow,
bombs off of it too.
I still can't believe we got Vanilla Cane. That is insane. As we do see the machine gun silver arrow strand here on victories from Trojan.
Oh, Bob is going for it though, not going for Ice Palace first. So the race is very much on at the moment. Trojandude needs to go Dark World Death Mountain pretty much straight away here in order to keep up with this. But it's very possible. Yeah, you've already gone there, Bob.
Oh, yeah, Bob.
You just need to go to the dungeon. The thing is, though, you basically have to go through this entire dungeon before you get that cane, so it's going to be a full clear anyhow.
That is true. So that does give Trojan quite a lot of time here. So he does 3-1. So it does look like this will come down to the wire.
It's gonna be good, that's for sure.
Yes, this has so far been an excellent seed, both to watch and commentate as well.
Yeah, so you're in go mode if you don't need Quake for TR. So this is the obvious place to go. And then, as I was saying, once you've found out that you're not actually in go mode, you've got all of the rest of Dark World Death Mountain to check. And it's fine, because that will lead to where Quake is.
Yes, this is definitely the best play here for Trojan. I'll be very surprised if he, after finding out that he still needs...
Getting dead rocks though, it's not so good. Can't cape through them.
They still have an active hitbox regardless of... Oh, Nox. You might actually be able to...
Oh, maybe not.
Just barely not.
No. Oh, you should be able to get through that. Dead rocks.
Can we just remove them? Pretty please, thank you.
Okay, no, the one thing I really want removed from the game is those stupid skulls that come up in the grass when you're just dashing happily through.
Oh yeah,
and stop you from running all the way through. Those things I really want removed from the game. That is not okay. That should not be a thing.
Oh dear. Trojandude will find out that he still needs, and thankfully will be go ahead and check out the shop cave here.
Wasn't Big Key vanilla this one? Okay, so he's just checking that first and then going back. Maybe.
Bob,
maybe.
Make up your mind,
okay.
Bob.
Okay. We're in business here. All right. So as we said, Trojandude checking the other stuff here, and I think I've still got Super Bunny Cave to do. Yep. Maybe, yeah, he's gonna go from the other side here. That's fine. I think it works either way around. It might be a little bit faster to stay at the top, but it's not too.
Yes, eventually you will come out at the top. So in terms of time that it takes, there might be a minor discrepancy, and one might be faster than the other. But in all honesty, so long as Trojan does not forget the spike cave, he should be fine here.
Right. I would have liked to have seen magic pick up there just to get a tiny bit up, but it shouldn't really matter. It's got 13 hearts at the moment. Might still get a fairy or a heart drop out of the circle of bushes beforehand, because he is going over. So this is gonna be close.
So both our runners might hit go mode at around the same time here, depending. Actually, no, I believe Bob has to go to the big chest now at this point.
Right, Bob has still got the chest to the left of the big chest and the big chest itself to go and check. Looks as if he's going to do big chest first, which is the right way around to do this. As Trojandude is checking Spike Cave, yeah, we might have just about simultaneous go mode here. The difference is that Trojan has already finished his crystal dungeon that Bob is doing here. And there we go.
And with that, both of our runners at 1 hour and 43 minutes are both in go mode. The race is on.
Yeah, go modes within a second of each other. As I say, the difference now though is Trojandude just gets to flute straight back up the mountain and TR, because Bob has got to finish the dungeon first. And even though he has silver arrows, so it will be a quicker fight than average, it's the same fight Trojandude had to do, and he's still got to do it and then go back up the mountain. So this is in Trojan's favor at the moment, but anything can happen within this. This is well within GT range of finding the big key in a favorable spot. And
yes, this could definitely come down to both.
It's also in Dead Rock and
territory. Also Dead Rocks.
Dead Rock 2.
Oh my.
Alright. So yeah, the Dead Rocks are just not playing nice for Trojan right now. Why?
Wow, this seed has been all over the place.
At the moment, though, it's unfortunately not looking like it's going to be sub 2 for either player, because Turtle Rock is a really long dungeon, and even if you get a very good big key in GT, it's still 7-8 minutes away at the top of that. So it doesn't look like we're going to see sub 2 here.
It's going to be pretty tight to.
Dead Rock 3. I don't even have a movie title for Dead Rock 3.
This is just outrageous, really. Oh my.
Just why?
Meanwhile, though, DoctorBobtastic will be about to finish up Vitreous as Trojandude enters Turtle Rock. So DoctorBobtastic is basically behind by a Death Mountain climb at this point.
Yeah, just about. Because it's not going to take very long for Mirror and the Flute to 1, and he will already have full health, so not having to go in to see the old man like Trojandude did. Yeah, this is gonna be good. So, at this point, there's pretty much all of the safeties that you'd want too. We've got Red Mail, we've got Powder, got plenty of hearts, Silver Arrows. Half Magic is the only one we want to see here, because Gold Sword doesn't exactly do a whole lot. It's nice.
Yes, the difference between Gold Sword and Tempered Sword is pretty negligible. Of course, the big one is the upgrade from level 2 to level 3, which will speed up the Ganon fight quite considerably. And of course, those silvers will make the Ganon fight substantially easier.
I'm not entirely sure if either of these runners are particularly familiar. Nice seeing the big key early as well. Not entirely sure if either of these two are super familiar with doing one cycle phase 1 for Ganon using Tempered Sword, because it does take a kind of difficult to do spin to actually make it work. But either way, that's about the only difference that will make at this point, would be to make one cycle very easy on Ganon.
Bob gets past the Dead Rocks without much trouble this time.
All of our movie titles were used on Trojandude, so it's probably for the better that Bob didn't get Dead Rocked here.
Definitely, as DoctorBobtastic is entering the Turtle Rock dungeon here.
Alright, so yeah, not a huge amount of time difference here. This really could just come down to where is GT Big Key? How long are these Change Homes going to stop you from getting the chest?
The Change Homes are a pretty brutal enemy. They hit rather hard. Of course, this is the last dungeon of the game, so...
I didn't even know you could ferry that.
I didn't think that would have to reach. Well, you learn something new every day, I suppose.
Well then, all right.
Meanwhile, Bobtastic will be getting his big key here shortly.
Not quite getting a shot here either, so both players hooking on the same torch in order to get across. It's not always guaranteed. Once again, there's a nice evasion of the bunny beam here, getting just enough reach off of that to stay away. Good stuff.
Yes, does choose to steal the small key here, leaving the vanilla big key chest. Of course, there is nothing that our runners are really going to be looking for, so I doubt that we will see any optional chests being opened here if they can avoid it.
Right. I've seen both players have used the mirror strat to get here. Trojandude is going to need some magic. There's some in the bottom left pot there. Does he still have the blue potion? That might be okay. It doesn't look like it.
No, I think he used that during his Mothra battle.
He's going to need some magic in order to actually get through the final here. Bob's having a little bit of trouble getting the switch here. Chain Chomps being their usual chainy selves. This is not looking good for Trojan here though, because there aren't any more pots that he can get magic from here. This could be salvaged if he looks at the next chest and half magic just happens to be there, but there are no items in these chests here. These pops even. I don't think there's any over there either. I'm pretty sure that's just a rupee room.
Does not ring a bell for... I have never even seen this room.
So in this room, if you want to get to the rupee room on the other side, you actually have to kill all of the, I think it's all 5 of the slimes here in order to actually get through that room. Oh, okay, there's only 3 in this one, whatever. I'm pretty sure it's 5 in things, but you actually have to kill them all, and yeah, it's just a rupee room.
Unfortunately, not what Trojan is looking for here.
Yeah, what he wants would have been the bottom left chest in the double, well, that Bob is going into now. This room in the bottom left corner has got 1 magic pot that he'd be able to use. Nothing off of there, so gonna have to hope half magic is in here for the refill. And nope.
Nope, just a dungeon item.
So at this point, you need to mirror out straight away. Go and get the bottom left chair, yeah, because you're not going to be able to get through this room unless you hover it.
Which, I mean, will be a quite difficult task, and opts to back out of that one. Don't blame him at all for that, but we'll have to do some very quick thinking here. Otherwise, he might lose his lead.
This is heartbreaking because the lead is already gone. Bob is going through. He has magic. There's no problem with that.
Yes, our runners did have a virtual high 5 there. Unfortunately, Trojan on his way out, looking for that extra bit of magic to use the Kanon Samaria here.
Yeah.
The room that Dr. Bob is in.
It's it. Bottom part here.
Now the ironic thing is there is a full magic in this room.
Yep, Bob just passed it on the right hand side. There is full magic there.
So although Time Lord's not oh wow.
Oh, that is so cruel. It was the next drop in the prize pack for that. That is so cool to see. Okay, but regardless, it has switched the other way around now, but this is still within the same parameters as before. A big key in the wrong place for 1 player, or, you know, any execution errors could easily bring this back in.
Yes, this could
player's favor.
This could even come down to maybe a Ganon full in the 3rd phase.
Yeah. Which we don't want to see anybody failing. No.
Falling to Ganon is one of the worst ways to go, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Just so close, yet so far. Has to be a little careful here. We'll be taking the full magic drop I mentioned earlier, as well as getting some more safety hearts there. So Bobtastic is finishing off the Trinex fight here. Now, we have a long-standing tradition here of the Link to the Past randomizer. There are 22 locations where the Ganon Tower Big Key can possibly be. So my question to you and the chat, where is that going to be?
I want to see it in Rando Room. I have stopped doing right side recently because in this version it seems to never be there. So I want that to stay true for my confirmation bias and just go on into the Rando Room.
Then I will put it behind Ice Armors.
Also
not vanilla.
fair.
The top left behind Ice Armors is going to be my call for this round.
All right.
Meanwhile, though, Trojan about to head into the Trinex fight. Be interesting to see which route Dr. Bob will take first here.
I'm almost surprised that neither of us said Bob's chest here. It's the one for it.
Oh.
Because Bob is the one who's playing.
That would be very fitting, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if Bob will live today. Well, we do get small keys, though, so instead opts to go for the left side.
So I used to have a rule when I was starting to try and this place. This is back when version 7, I think it was, is when they fixed the randomization for this big key. Because it used to only be able to appear in 3 different rooms, and so that was nice and easy. But then they fixed that in V7 of the randomizer. You know, kind of made us actually have to think about things a little bit more. And I used to have a rule of if you get 2 keys on the right-hand side, then you go right side. But again, trying to avoid that. The big key never seems to be on right side for me unless there's no keys over there right now, so... Oh, there's the shovel!
Number 7, the shovel. Let's go.
Oh, DM strats here. Okay, so...
Oh, that is interesting. You don't see that very often.
Not when you've checked right side to begin with as well. Normally, the way traditionally Dark Magician strats are done is that you would go and do left side up until the mini Stalfos room, then mirror and come and do the right side here first, and instead of going full left. But it looks like, are we actually gonna? Oh,
we are getting a early tile room.
Wow.
Now this might pay out for Bob if it is here.
He must think he's behind if he's doing this. So I actually don't particularly like the way that this seems to be a strat that everybody does at this point, but I actually don't really like it. So what he's doing is he's holding the wall with the cape, and that means that the magic doesn't drain for some arbitrary reason. But he didn't get rid of the bunny beam first. And so what's going to happen here is the bunny beam is still going to chase him even as he's going away from the wall, and he's going to have to keep the cape on in order to not get bunny. And he still got bunny anyway, so you know, it's just, I would rather see bunny get removed first. Like, stay in the doorway until the bunny beam disappears on the door, and then you've still got enough time to run away from. Trojandude is actually just going full right here, so if it is on right side, they are neck and neck.
Oh. Unfortunately, Bob, running out of magic, still has that blue potion, so we'll be able to refill his magic that way.
Yeah, I think he bought some at some point, because both used the blue potions on Moth that came from the seed, but Bob bought some at some point before going to Misery Mire, I think.
Yes, I do recall Bob going into 2 and filling up.
Bob had a slightly better time through that room now, so the lead, quote-unquote lead switches over again. Alright, so it wasn't here.
Chest number 12 already. This is pretty nice.
Say Bob is looking like he is going to go full right. This is what the Dark Magician strats do, is you go full right after doing to the mini Stalfos room. And so now this is a quicker way of getting to the Ice Armos. But if it's in Rando room like I think it is, then this is going to be very, very bad for Bob.
Yes, this might come down to Bob's last location where it could be, if it is in Randomizer room.
So just bonking past this guy. You can use the hook shot on it too, but still, no matter which way around you go, that jelly that you dash past there can actually knock you off for no other reason than it just wants to be a button. So good job it wasn't this time. Almost falling off there. Oh, actually falling off this time, though. The mini Helmasaur says no. Denied. Oh, well. This is where having the hook shot out would be a really big plus, but he manages to slip away, which is pretty good. Meanwhile,
so we do get to see Bob.
This is one of the reasons why the Stalfos room is sometimes skipped using these DM. Yeah, you're going to have to Fate Powder if you want. If you want rid of Bob here, you're going to have to Fate Powder it. Oh, and it's caught in the pit as well. Oh, no. Oh, just to add insult to injury. But you can see just how quick it is to actually get down to the Ice Armors from right-hand side. Use the invincibility items. So, if this works out...
Now we'll get to see if my prediction was true. As we find 300... 20 and 5, only money.
Just like that, Trojandude is on the right path before Bob. The lead changes again. Oh my. So yeah, this is what we're mentioning. The way round for getting the Gans Tower Big Key. If it turns out to be wrong for you, then it's very possible to just lose whatever lead you had.
Yes, as we see here, just the smallest. Oh my!
Well.
All of the fetch quest here.
Fetch Quest Tower. We haven't seen the book yet. Hopefully that's in here.
Oh yeah, that we just completely finished this. Now, by the randomizer rules, we will go by the item count of Dr. Bob, as he was the first to enter the tower.
With this being ALTTPR, though, there's no actual bot for this.
There it is!
It is!
The random room, bottom right chest.
Always random room.
Yes, the only room that is only seen in the randomizer, due to there only being, I believe, some bombs and arrows in the vanilla game, is never visited. Just skip right by in the NMG speedrun of this game.
Yeah, not too many people actually know of that room's existence in vanilla. I mean, I actually did know about that one, because for whatever reason I did a full explore. Oh, no! What are you, Trojan, no! Get unstuck, please! Keep...
Oh dear.
Use the bow. Get out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. The magic didn't actually spawn under the pot there. There were too many sprites on screen at the time, so that's kind of unfortunate. He is a little bit low on that. He's probably going to want to take the safety before going here.
And there we go. Dr. Bob will be getting his big key.
Opening the other chest just in case half magic is there, imagine. Refill beforehand. I can understand that because just magic left to speak of here, so.
Definitely, and I did lose count, but I believe that was indeed 20 as...
Yeah, it was the third last chest, and there are 22. So, Bob even did tower rooms, so that one does count. Alright, oh, not taking the safety room here. That's interesting because of the magic, but at the same time, shouldn't really be too bad. You'd mostly be using silver arrows for a lot of the enemies here, even if it does lag a decent bit.
Yes, it is, of course, one of the best weapons in the game. Kills almost anything in one hit, so...
Right, I think it does 100 flat damage or something, and most enemies don't even get close to that. There's only one boss that gets up to that other than Ganon. That's Vitreous.
Yes, Vitreous is the only boss taking 2 silver arrows at, I believe, 120 HP.
Yeah, it's either 120 or 128, somewhere.
Oh,
oh, no.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Although the good thing, we'll have enough invincibility frames to just go right through.
Yeah, so one strat for that room actually is to just take a fall at the start and dash straight across, because that way you don't have to worry about the cannonballs at all. Using the powder hero, do not blame Trojan in the slightest for this. I would have even maybe considered hanging around in that room a little bit longer to make all of the landmos spawn at the same time, but as it stands, just gotta try and take when you can at this point.
Yes, of course, taking that ferry will progress the cycle for the land molars a little bit earlier, due to the fact that the counter starts running as soon as you enter the bunny bean room.
Right, and this is something you've got to pay attention to if you're used to having boots to go through the room, is that if you don't have boots, even just walking through that room takes longer. And you can see here, Bob has had a significantly better gauntlet, so it's almost entirely caught up here.
Yes, only one land molar left here. Takes it down, no trouble, as both our runners pretty much neck and neck will be moving on up.
This is literally within one room now. That's... wow. What a race we have got here.
Yes, especially considering that we have been going for over 2 hours and it is this close within like 20 seconds. This is truly something I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's been quite a harrowing seed for both players for different reasons, but we are very near the end of this now. Trojan doesn't have any potions. I don't think Bob has any potions left. I'm pretty sure both have been used at this point, so...
That is correct. Bob used his last potion in the random room.
So we are looking at, not a whole lot for resources here, but both do have comfortable weaponry for Ganon. and both going up the stairs at exactly the same time. 2 hours, 4 minutes in the sync. So yeah, we might actually have to consider. Yeah, I guess
looking for maybe a quick heal up here.
Yeah, it's gotta be half magic you're looking for as well. We might actually be close enough where we need to consider the tie roll here. So because of switching to a new system, SRTV. Oh, and
there is the gold sword!
Oh,
and
no!
Trojan does not opt to open that chest.
I was going to say, if we are within 3 seconds of each other in SRTV times, then it is actually considered a tie. But, Trojan falling as well.
Yes, at this point, that fall might have sealed the deal. Of course, there is still the Aghanim 2 fight as well as the Ganon fight.
The problem is Bob has sword advantage, and if you are not going to keep pace with the 1 cycles, as we find a shield, the last chest here, definitely not what you're looking to find. But if we do find, if he doesn't keep up with the 1 cycle for both of the first 2 phases of Ganon, that's just more time loss as well. This is going to be tough to catch. I think this is now Bob's race to lose, but it is still incredibly close here. Anything can happen off of this.
Definitely. Even if Trojan were to get like a perfect Aghanim and be into the Ganon fight first, that might be his saving grace here. But Aghanim,
I mean, he has had a significantly better Aga fight.
His Aga fight did go a lot better. Meanwhile, though, Dr. Bob closely behind. Both of these runners will be in the same cutscene at the same time.
So Trojan finishes 1 Aga cycle ahead here, but is now going to have to probably take more cycles at Ganon than Bob does. So we'll see how this ends up. Silver arrows, you would normally think fairly straightforward to do this, but it is really easy to just have a rogue firebat take you out here. So, yeah, anything can happen. Looks like Bob still has a potion left, was that? Like, he switched away from it, but I thought he still had potion.
I could not see.
He has got a blue. Okay, so never mind. Bob does actually have one. Both players in phase 2 at exactly the same time here. This is what I was saying. So Trojandude is going to be an extra thing. Bob's got to get that potion out.
Now, of course, using a potion also takes up a little bit of time, and this might very well come down to either one of these runners getting a double hit or a triple hit with the silver arrows.
It does. Oh, and Bob didn't actually get the 1 cycle on phase 2, but Trojandude has gone for a 3rd cycle here.
Ooh, unfortunately. Okay. Trojan does have that little buffer from Aghanim to work with here, but both our runners will be looking to get the torch glitch in order to make the most of this time here.
Trojan is already now 1 teleport phase behind here because of having 3 cycles on phase 2. But really depends now on who gets the silver arrows in first. Torch glitch doesn't matter quite so much when you do have the silvers, and neither player has got any extra magic buffers here. So it shouldn't really matter that much. But we will see how quickly these silvers go down. So we are going to see one.
Puts
a bit too early there.
First arrow into Ganon here.
Oh, Trojan misses the first set there. It's going to be 2, so that's 1 more shot for Dr. Bob. Doesn't get it.
Unfortunately, has to watch out for the firebats here. You don't want to die at this point, Bob.
He didn't.
Oh no, 3 hearts.
And he hits Regal Trojan. There's still 1 more to get. There we go. Looks like Bob has got it.
DoctorBobtastic finishes off Ganon.
Okay. Yeah, just.
Oh my.
Now,
so equally close behind Trojan, also the last arrow into Ganon. GG, DoctorBobtastic is the winner of the race with at least a sub 2:10.
2 hours, 8 minutes, 51 seconds for Dr. Bob.
My.
2 hours, 9 minutes, and 8 seconds for Trojandude.
This was one of the most close races that I have ever watched and commentated.
absolutely fantastic stuff. If you are just ever in doubt, the Link to the Past randomizer is just always exciting to see, no matter who is playing. Just show this race. This race was absolutely phenomenal from start to finish.
My, yes. It looks like we have DoctorBobtastic here in the waiting room. We'll be pulling him in for an interview shortly here.
We should see if Trojandude wants to come in as well. We'll get them both together. Let me see the song. If I can this way, sir. See, actually, is he in as well? See.
Trojan is not yet in the waiting room though. Please bear with us as we are trying to get our runners in here for a post-race interview. Yes, they are both in the waiting room. I will drag them over here.
I was about to DM see about that, so.
Oh, I was so sad. Like I was like I think I just got my last hit and I saw that you finished.
Oh yeah, I was like losing my mind there at the end. I was like,
hey,
what hell? Yeah, we're live now. I'm just
and not only you were losing your minds, we as commentators as well as the entire chat. That was one hell of a finish there. Finishing within, I believe, 11 seconds of each other. You two actually reached go mode at the same time, went up after the torch room at the same time, traded first place back and forth between some GT execution.
Holy crap.
I mean, that sure was. And of course, that wasn't all. Of course, it all started with that glove upgrade.
Yeah. The silly glove upgrade.
That was unique for me. I don't think I've personally had a glove upgrade come that late in a seed before. That was very, very interesting to route.
I have a question. Was your first one in Swamp or King's Tomb?
Swamp.
Yeah. Mine was in King's Tomb.
Okay.
Because I just don't like Swamp. Do you know? Have I made this clear?
But I love Swamp though. That's why I went there first.
Well, you see, the thing is, when I got the hammer and the hook shot, which right after I got the hook shot, I went straight to Death Mountain instead of going across. I was just like, you know what? There's gonna be something up there. The hammer was up there. It's great. I was like, okay, I've got all the things for Swamp, and so I'd resolved myself to go to Swamp, and then I got the bow at the digging game. And I was like, nope.
So then you went Pod and Eastern combined?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I pretty much said, all right, I'm going to get this, and then from the Pod Eastern, I'm just going to go straight to Swamp. Because I didn't really have much else other than those two things up top, and I said, oh, I'll route those in after.
Yeah, so you got... did you go into Ice Palace at all?
No.
Okay, good.
Neither did I. Ice was most definitely avoided in this one, and for good reason too. How about that Kane of Samaria, though?
Yeah, about it. You know, I really was sitting there like, I should just go in. It's gonna be vanilla. It's gonna be vanilla. I should just do it, and I didn't do it.
I literally thought the same exact thing. Like, I sat there after I finished Desert. I'm like, it's gonna be vanilla. Like, there's no way it's gonna ever want us to go into Swamp, or not Swamp. Excuse me, Ice Palace.
Yes, my apologies. I might have commentated because the Kane of Samaria in vanilla there.
It happens.
For a moment, we were speculating it to be on the pedestal, as the way that the scene has been playing out, it was pretty trolly.
That Quake location was rude. That was like, for me, that was the only thing that was rude in this seat. I'm like, you know, I go up to Turtle Rock to be, okay, I'm in a go mode, hopefully. And then yeah, and then it wasn't.
So I'm gonna tell you, I got the Quake early on because I hate swamps so much.
It makes sense.
Because I went up there just to check Spike Cave. And I died once.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you had to take another shot at that. That must have been heartbreaking. I wasn't looking at the time. Did you check the bushes outside for hearts or fairies first? Or
I think I thought about it and then jumped down and then was like, no.
Yeah, it would take a long
but
time.
I thought I could have had it, and I didn't. So.
Yeah, I was trying to work out a way that you might have been able to do it with the cape as well, because there's no spikes behind the torches, but I don't think you'd have been able to activate the cape quick enough to lift up the block whilst the, lift up the block whilst the bomb was there, so you could use the bomb recoil to get across, because that would have done a harder damage. I don't think you'd have had enough time with the delay on the cape, though, to do that, so I think it wouldn't have worked any way around it. Right. But it's always one of those unfortunate ones. Bet you were glad you went back up, though.
Right. And of course there was... So my route in GT was dumb, but I would do it again. I would do it again. Creative. Because I have a strat, based on a bunch of data that I gathered, that's the best route, and it just happened to be the wrong one. There's still the chance that it's wrong.
Yeah, I actually felt that my GT bottom was okay. The thing that lost me the seed was my Turtle Rock shenanigans not having magic. That really lost me that race.
Yeah, I was really, really concerned when I didn't get the one in the bottom left.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, you're out of magic.
It was a brain fart. It was an absolute brain fart. I knew I needed it, and for some reason I was like, oh, maybe something will drop, and then nothing did, and I felt really dumb.
Yeah, because right up until that point, I think you had around about a minute to minute and a half sort of lead at that, and then everything, as you say, kind of came crashing down at that point when there was no magic to be had. It's unfortunate, but at least now that you've done that once, it shouldn't happen again, right? So
yep, I had that in the last Kisanity tournament as well. I made a big mess up as far as a dungeon route, and then I figured out how to never do it again, so it'll be the same thing now in Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah. So hey, I got a question for you. Did you find the butter sword?
No, I tempered.
About that, actually.
I was getting the magic at the right before Moldom 2, and I was gonna do the whole powder the anti-fairy there because I was completely out of magic and I wanted more health. And I was like, I'll just check this chest for no reason. There it was.
Oh no! Wow.
And that let him do Ganon combined
a lot faster,
2 cycles quicker, because he still took 2 cycles on phase 2, but you took 3. So combined total between phase 1 and phase 2. 2 cycles faster, and that ended up being the key difference, because between Aga 2 fights, yours was a lot better, Trojan, in this one. That Aga pattern was pretty rough.
No, that Aga pattern was rough, but I was super happy to get 2-2-2 on it. I think that's the best Aga fight I've had in a really long time, so I was really happy with that.
So what I did on that is I forgot that the Aga RNG is exactly the same between both, and I was being like, well, what if it's a blue ball? There weren't going to be any blue balls. Why didn't I know it? Oh, otherwise, it would have been great. Anyways. But that was, oh my goodness, I can't believe it came out that close. And I can't believe I actually won the silly thing, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
Well done. GG's to both of you. You both have put on an amazing show for us, of course, here.
And it was a good race. That's always what I care about. Whenever I do these tournament races, as long as it's a good race and it's entertaining.
Oh, it definitely was entertaining.
I'm not going to say I'm particularly happy about the time, but I don't think I could have done this much faster.
Me neither. Other than the Turtle Rock thing, the routing was so awkward at certain parts of it that I really couldn't blame myself for going a bit slower in a couple spots.
No, I think you both did perfectly fine with this one. This was a really weird seed to go through with having gloves being that late. And there's a lot of awkward situations with bosses too. Like that moth fight wasn't especially simple to do. And, you know, just having to go into dungeons before getting too many swords, just having to double dip a lot of dungeons off of that was also just kind of awkward. So, and let's not even talk about more than one. Because seriously,
can we give shout outs
once?
yeah, I felt twice, I think, to that. But dude, can we give shout outs to Thievestown routing? Like for real? Having to actually kill all the enemies in that room to go the long way around.
Right? I was actually really worried you were going to mirror out of there, because seeing Bombos down there, I was thinking, okay, Bombos is probably necessary. And I saw you hover over the mirror, and I was thinking, wait, no, what are you doing? Please just put that away. You don't have to leave here yet. And it's just... Yeah.
No, it was more of, I realized that I could do it. It was fine. But I had a moment of like, is this worth it to like take the time? And
okay.
And then when I got Bombos, then I kind of started feeling, okay, this might be worth my time in case it's required, which it ended up not being, but I still wouldn't have done it differently.
But no, as the chat said as well, it's just an amazing race between you two. Glad I managed to get in on this one. Yeah, hopefully you guys put on as good a show as this in the next rounds, because yeah, look out for that.
Well, I sure hope so.
Yeah, same. And thank you to the commentators and Restreamer and Tracker for doing this.
Yes, of course, this would not at all be possible without a Restreamer. Liminality Carb. Sorry, I had to make sure I pronounced that correctly. As well as our tracker Planeswalker, making our jobs a lot easier. And of course, thanks to our two runners, DoctorBobtastic and Trojandude, as well as my co-commentator GamerCal for joining me on this amazing, exciting race.
Oh, very happy to, Stan. Thank you very much for commentating this as well. It's been a lot of fun going back and forth on this one. And hopefully we get to do some more in the future. This was good.
Sounds good to me.
Alright, so once again, there have been an awful lot of races on schedule. I'm sure there are plenty running at the moment as well, and there's still quite a few to do for the rest of the night. I think we're up until around about 10:30 Eastern. 10:30 p.m. is around about when the last one will start. So plenty of rando for the rest of the two. And yes. This is only week 1 of 7. There's going to be so much more.
Just keeps going.
If this is a sign of things to come, then I don't want Randomizer to end.
Yeah, this is only week 1, and we've already had matches this exciting. So follow all of Speed Gaming 1 through 6, and I'm pretty sure 6 is at the moment as well. And ALTTPR Randomizer 1 through 4. So many channels to run on. There's a lot of other tournaments going on as well, if LTTP Rando is not the only thing you're interested in watching, which I wouldn't blame you. There's some really good stuff going too. And yeah, just keep track of as much as you can. There's a lot going on here. So thank you guys very much for watching again. I've been GamerCal.
And I have been Stan. And until the next time.